I don't really believe that you have to go into calls completely cold, just generally speaking. I tend to spend a little bit of time going in and finding at least like just one tiny piece of something that's relevant that I can use in the call opener. So something like, you know, Justin, go to market games is probably the coolest thing I've seen in sales, entertainment, and education in the last 10 years. I would say that like all one line if I was. So that's why I had to reach out to you. I just had to talk to you. But actually, more importantly, what are you doing about your paper stuff? At any rate, that is really how I like to go into conversations. But overall, in a cold call, I think industry wide, there needs to be a return to emphasis on tone. I think that much like in what you're acquainted with as marketers, especially when it comes to writing, like tone is you can live and die by that relative to your audience. So understanding or practicing enough to find a tone that resonates with the folks that you tend to speak with every day and also feels authentic to you and is fun. That's the assignment a lot of the time when you're first, figuring out who you are as a cold caller. And sometimes it takes a lot of failure or what feels like failure to figure that out, to sort of find your swing, so to speak. But yeah, I think I lean into what a lot of folks would call the art of sales versus the science. I like to think that the art is, again, all those little things that are unique to you, and then the science is just the consistency with which you apply those things. When I gave you language, right? When I told you how I speak about certain things, you started to use those same words to talk about those things. And so it felt more like I was talking to a peer than someone who was, trying to sell me something. And it didn't feel at that point anymore like we were in this sort of like the seller was in a subordinate place. It's a pet peeve of mine, is for sellers to put themselves in a very subordinate place when they're reaching out. Often you see this happen when an SDR is calling into the C-suite. There's a lot of like apologizing and thanking for time and all of that. And that wasn't a vibe I got from you, Jordan. So thank you for that. The compelling question, and this is kind of across the board, a how question, how are you doing this question, is what I was looking for. I don't know if I got that exactly from you.
Oh, you didn't. That's a good one.
That's one of the things that stuck out. Quicker you get to that compelling question, the better. And it's because the assignment is to make me think as quickly as possible about what you're asking me, so that I'm not thinking about the fact that this is a cold call and I don't have time and I don't want to have this conversation. So again, a simple, how are you doing this now? But so Andrew, what I noticed with you is that you were attempting to teach me something, which is really important. That is why we were on the line as long as we were. So you didn't lean as much on the questions as I would have liked, and as much on the questions as maybe Jordan did, but you made up for it a bit in just the straight useful information that you were giving. Whereas if you phrase the question as a, how are you doing this now? At the very least, I have to think about how I'm doing that now. And then I might also be, after answering that question and thinking about it, I might be intrigued enough to ask you, well, why? I'm doing it the way everybody else been doing it for the last 20 years. Why? What do you mean, how? Is there a different way, right? I don't ask for time in email. I don't ask for time after a demo call. I ask people for their time because they're going to tell you, like I told you, right? I don't really have any time. So, like I said, I'm a mulligan. These things happen. But the way that when people are asking for time, they're doing it as part of an upfront contract, right? So something like, not do you have, but are you willing to, right? So yes, I know this is the cold call. I'm probably not making any sense at all, right? You want to hang up or roll the dice, right? Something like that.
Quickly, whereas either rephrasing that or just moving right to the kind of the main question would have helped kind of transition it easily and kind of nicely into much more of the true cold call rather than
be jumping into your first new quarter that you're responsible for. And I know you said when we spoke last time that you're pretty happy with the accuracy of your forecast, but now that you've gotten a chance to, get your head around it, maybe go through
the Dub Action Summit last year. I love to see about how you were combining video and humor to re-engage stalled ops, and it made me wonder who's in charge of the way that your SDRs are prospecting and personalizing their outreach currently?
Who's in charge of the way that they're doing it?
Mm-hmm. The process.
Take me off the bus.
And tell me how I'm not asking insightful questions. So because I sometimes don't ask insightful questions. So I think Nikki, you hit the nail on the head, which is, just like we do in other areas of our life, the way we swing a baseball, the way we kick a soccer ball, the way we
1 to 2 sales folks to like 10 sales folks. Does that sound about what you guys are at today?
Yeah, they're about.
Yeah. So to give you just a little bit of understanding here, what we're doing here is we're actually looking at that. You talked about that pain, right? Understanding your customers,